All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving our praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And this is going to be a real quick lesson. On this clip that I came across, where, you had this Jake, it looked like they may have been in the mall, and you had another, young Jake sitting amongst, Edomites, and then as he's walking by, he's recording, he's asking him like, you good? You got a ride home, you got your phone on you, and again, of course, the Edomite, boys are laughing, but, the Jake is being serious, you know, because of the whole Nolan Wells situation. And not just that, but, it happens frequently, the token Negro, that hangs out with, a group of Edomites usually ends up, coming up missing, or, they end up losing their lives, and they try to frame it as, either an accident or, a suicide, which we know is some BS. So I'm just going to play this clip and bring out a couple of scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. Let's play it. And before, I play this clip, this clip is being used for educational purposes only. I'm not making any money off of anyone else's content, so fair use, fair use, fair use. Let's play it.
Hey, bro, you good?
Hey, I'm good.
You sure? You got to ride back home? Okay, you see what happened to Northern Wells? I'm saying I got all y'all laughing.
Get all out of here.
Ain't nobody leaving, huh? You sure you got to ride, bro? You got your phone with you? I just want to make sure, bro. You feel me? Take care of your people.
Hey, Phil, that's a real nigga right there, Phil. I ain't gonna lie, that's a real nigga.
Hey, bro.
And as you can see, they're laughing about it. But again, the dude is serious, man. He's trying to look out for, the young Jake, because he clearly doesn't understand who his enemy is, man. And that's all he's doing is trying to, make sure he's good, But much like Nolan Wells, this young man was probably never taught who his enemy was and to never trust those people, because they are the wicked, and that they I'm referring to is the nation of Edom. You so-called white people, you are the wicked, So, like I said, I wasn't gonna make this one too long, man, but it's just a cautionary tale, man. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10. It says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." It says, "Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou had wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his wrath hath not been altogether wiped away." And right, never trust your enemy. And who are our enemies? All of the heathen nations, but primarily who? The nation of Edom. We read in Psalms 83, it lists off the nations, the nation of Israel's enemies, which are, again, all of the heathen nations, man. They're all against us. So-called white people, so-called Chinese, Japanese, people, so-called East Indian, Arabs, all of these people are against us. They're not our friends, man. Especially so-called white people, man. They're not our friends. Now, you may have some, Edomites that may be cool with you, that stand up for us. But even then, they're still not ours. They're still, not for our benefit. They're still not our people. Now, are our people scattered amongst them that may look like them? Yes. But we're not talking about, the Israelite foreigners, man. We're talking about the nation of Edom, the wicked, man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. Never trust these people, especially now in the time that we're living in, because, again, racial tension is at an all-time high right now, and it's going to increase. People are going to get more and more angry, because of these various situations that are going on, And eventually, Esau is going to get stirred up. Excuse me, Slakia. And, Jacob's going to get stirred up, man. Just like it says in Genesis, the 49th chapter, who shall rouse him up, man. And eventually, all of the tribes are going to get roused up once, they finally, the tribe of Judah, that's what I'm referring to, finally, they get sick of Esau's shit, man, so they're gonna get their get back. Yeah, the wicked of our people, they're gonna perish, they're gonna die, but they're gonna be reborn. The Lord is gonna use them one last time before, he gets rid of them. So I'm going to read it in the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 9. It says, Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art going up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? And right, our people that don't have that same fight that they used to have in them, during the civil rights era, where you had the tribe of Judah, standing up against, the oppressive, system here in America, that's part of what, the Black Panther movement, was about, man, to stand up against, Esau, and even you had the Chicano movement, Northern Kingdom, Northern and Southern Kingdom, they were on the same page back then, right? But now what, our people, they gave up. They no longer fight back. They're they're completely integrated into the system, man. They got jobs, or they got hooked on, the drugs, or the, different government, benefits, things of that sort, man. But the time is going to come where the Lord is going to rouse the tribe of Judah up. And once Judah get roused up, all of the other tribes are going to follow as well, man. Because Judah is the head. Whatever Judah does, the other nations are going to follow, So once they get angry, all of the tribes are going to get angry, And again, they're going to terrorize Egypt, So let's get that, and I'll end it with that. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 19 and verse 17, it says, "And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself, because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he hath determined against it." Right? The tribes are going to be a terror unto Egypt, because we know the wicked of our people, they're going to get mowed down. They are going to die, whether it be in World War III or whether they die here in America, during the time of Jacob's trouble, they're going to die. But what? They're going to terrorize Egypt, what's modern day Egypt? America, Revelation 11 and 8, spiritual Sodom in Egypt. We know why it's spiritually called Sodom, but what? It's also spiritually called Egypt because one, much like ancient Egypt, all 12 tribes are here in this land, being oppressed together, just like it says in Jeremiah, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, because again, the tribes haven't been together, since, before the split of the two kingdoms, after King Solomon died, but again, that's one thing that makes America spiritually Egypt. All 12 tribes are here. And then what it also, represents bondage, man, that hardcore slavery that we endured here in America, man, because just like in ancient Egypt, Pharaoh put hell on us. And now what? You have the modern day Pharaoh, which is Esau, Edom, which is putting hell on the tribes, man, But again, that time is going to come. The Lord is going to rouse the tribes up, and they're going to get their get back. Even the men of the Lord, those that get that spiritual power, they're going to get active too, So again, just the main point of this lesson, man, never trust your enemy. Never trust those people, because they don't mean us any good, So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the artists of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till next time I say, Shalom.